You smell that? It's not a gas leak, it's E3 season. Kind of, we're a month away. Recently, and by recently I mean a couple hours ago, Nintendo announced that they will be holding a Nintendo Indie World, whatever it's called. I prefer it when they were called Nindies, okay? That was nice as a funny name. Don't like what they're called now, but anyway. And this announcement has put to bed any rumors, any ideas of, hey, Nintendo might hold something before E3 season, they're gonna have Direct in May. No, they won't. I don't understand why people were thinking this. Maybe... Actually, no, not even a maybe. I don't see any way in which this would be possible. We got our Direct in February, I think. Yeah, it was February. So, for them to only have a Direct 2 months after that... 3 months, sorry. Well, it was midway through, so... Anyway. And then, not even a full month later, have E3? That just does not make any sense whatsoever, and yet people are still expecting that. But now... Thanks to this Indie World Showcase, whatever it's called, those rumors completely dead. If you still think that, you have brain damage at this point. Now, even though E3 has been cancelled, again, because why not, that doesn't exactly mean that Nintendo won't have anything there. For a good number of years now, Nintendo has forgone the whole proper convention style of E3. Like, they still have one there, but the actual conference itself has been done digitally for a while. Meaning that even though E3, the place, doesn't exist and the conferences won't be happening, they can still just upload a Direct. They might not. I mean, they did nothing in 2020, so hey, who knows? But at the same time in 2020, there was just no Directs at all. Like, they had completely gotten rid of that system. Maybe it was due to COVID, maybe it was due to them just having nothing that year. I don't know, but yeah, the system was gone for a bit. But yeah, I feel decently confident, I hope to Christ this doesn't age poorly, that we will be receiving a Nintendo Direct in June. Once again, I really hope I'm correct on that. So in today's video, as I did last year, and no other years, I am going to be talking about what things we might see in said E3. From the games that we know about that could make an appearance, to games we don't know about. Because they don't exist, probably. I mean, you'll see the list I'll read out. So yeah, let's get into those. Hollow Knight Silksong is a very long-awaited sequel to Hollow Knight, a game that people really enjoy, and I don't blame them. It is a very good game. From what I've seen of the trailers and little gameplay snippets here and there and demos and whatever else of Silksong, it looks to be a really phenomenal sequel, even taking some ideas that didn't quite make it into the first Hollow Knight, such as Funny Bone Lava World. Now, I know what you may be wondering, hey, why are you talking about Silksong here when there's actually an indie showcase? Now, for the past couple indie showcases, everyone has been making the joke, or they actually think it might happen, of Silksong being there, and just give up. The reason why I'm including Silksong here, instead of just saying, oh, it'll be there at the indie showcase or won't it ever exist, is because Hollow Knight is quite a large game. Like, it's being sold a bunch, it's on all the platforms at the moment, so I don't feel like it is a super small indie, which, while like the ones shown at those showcases aren't super small, still a lot of the time they aren't exactly the biggest. Usually they're from smaller studios that have had 1 or 2 games in the past that you might recognize, but Hollow Knight, that's a big beefy one right there. So Silksong would be the type of game that would be put up alongside some of the bigger Nintendo titles. Unlike Frank's Adventure shown off in the indie showcase, this has the chance to actually go up in the titles of news headlines and stuff, alongside everything else we'll be reading out in this video. Next, Sonic Origins. This was announced recently. While it is a Sega product, I could definitely see it being touched on somewhat in Nintendo Direct. A lot of the time in Nintendo Directs, you get a lot of retreading of information we already know. Like, so much of the time, like, we only have 40 minutes, and yet you're going to spend 5 of it on something you had announced a month ago, saying nothing new. It is definitely irritating. Which is exactly why I can see this happening. Sonic Origins is releasing on all the platforms, I believe. Well, it's very likely releasing on Switch at least, so yeah, and PC. Mario Strikers Battle League releases on the 10th of June. Now, I don't know when Nintendo are holding this thing, if it even exists to begin with, is something I also don't know, so it could come out after Nintendo hold it, or it could come out before. Mario Strikers, I mean. I don't know. Either way, I can definitely see them going, oh, but just you wait, we're adding more content afterwards. And by more content afterwards, I mean, we're putting in the content we cut from the game, because we wanted it to come out at this time. Yeah, that's one big issue I've been having with the quote-unquote new content Nintendo's been doing as of late, is that a lot of it doesn't feel exactly new. Like, for example, you know in Animal Crossing New Horizons, the game that got delayed anyway to March 20th, 2020, great time for it to release, but like, you know what's funny about the game's code? You could find stuff, heck, filters were even saying stuff about Brewster long before he was ever in the game, right? It's both in the code and they were saying it, so oopsie poopsie, should have done a little more testing there, buddy. And we only got that, what, late last year? As part of the big final update of the game, which you can't even call it the final major update since there wasn't any other major updates to begin with. They dotted the festivals out, they dotted the holidays, they dotted all of that out over the year. Now, that does make sense, you know, nobody, well, a lot of people probably wouldn't want to skip ahead in the year to October or June or whatever else anyway, so only adding them in afterwards, it does make sense, but it still should have been there to begin with. Also, where's all of the Nintendo crossover items? Like, we got the Mario ones for Mario, anniversary, but we didn't get anything for Zelda, or for Kirby, Pokemon, Pikmin, like in New Leaf, you know, nothing. This game is still missing so much of its content, yet it's done, but we don't really have time for that. There's still a lot to talk about here. But still, very annoying how Nintendo keeps doing this. Other examples would be the other two Mario Sports games were like, hey look, here's some extra characters that we were going to put in the base game but didn't have time for, and stuff like that. Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes. As you can tell by the tone of my voice, I couldn't care less. I do want to try Age of Calamity at some point, but it's the type of game where I don't want to spend any money on it. You know, the type of game where I go, oh, hello, friend of mine that also owns a Nintendo Switch family line of systems. I don't know. Hey, I'm gonna borrow that game off it. You know, it's not the type of thing where I'm gonna spend, like, a 5 reduced price for it to buy it used, you know? And that's with it being linked to Zelda, okay? Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes. I don't care about Fire Emblem. I don't care about Fire Emblem 3 Houses. Don't care about Warriors. Mix that together, and you got something I spent way too much time talking about. Now, Fall Guys and Outer Wilds. What thing do you think links these two games up together, other than them being from indie studios? Well, you see, technically Fall Guys is being bought by the funny Fortnite company now, Epic Games, so... But anyway, they used to be an indie company, so that's still one thing that links them. Well, another thing that does is the fact that they're both announced to come out in 2021, then didn't. No notice of a delay, no corny tweet, no anything whatsoever. It just didn't come out. Maybe we could see those? Maybe? I don't know. Xenoblade Chronicles 3, the game that was advanced, delayed, and I don't know what term we've decided here, but the game whose release date is much earlier than previously anticipated, because Nintendo can just move release dates about, apparently. And yet they didn't move Splatoon 3's release date back, which would make more sense as it is a game to be played online, and it makes more sense for that game to be played online during summer, where people are off from work and school and whatever else. Speaking of Splatoon 3, yeah, that's a game. It's coming out September 9th. A big issue with the game currently is the fact that it doesn't look to have anything new. Like, sure, you've got new weapons, new clothes, animations, like, it looks really good, sure. But it doesn't look different enough from Splatoon 2. I still want to buy it for the single player, but there's a lot of people who couldn't care less about that side of things and just want it for the multiplayer, and as of now, there isn't nearly enough to justify that. What Nintendo needs if they really want to secure this game as safe and to be bought and whatever else is, they need to have a trailer that shows off a good heaping of new maps, or show that the single-player campaign, is much larger than what we saw in 1 and 2. 1 and 2's kinda sucked. The Octo expansion was quite good, however that was really short. I was very easily able to blast through that through a day, and I'm not even that, like, great a Splatoon player. So something about 3 times that length, and of that same quality, and show that off in a trailer, I could see people then maybe wanting to warm up to the game more. But you'll still need the new stages to win them over, well, them being the people who play only online. And maybe a new mode or two? Splatoon 2 introduced Clan Blitz, I believe, one of the, League modes, League and something else. I never really got too far into them. I think the highest rank I got was a B in the tower control. But the other ones, I just didn't really play much. Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope is a game I am ridiculously excited for. Mario and Rabbids is the closest thing we've gotten to a traditional Mario RPG on the system, excluding Paper Mario 64, which is a re-release / virtual console thing, whatever you want to call it. It's not a new game, so yeah. It's the closest we've gotten. So that's kind of why I love it. Also, personality, gameplay, whatever have you. Now, the release window for this game is April 2022 to April 2023. So, hold on, let me just check my watch here. Yeah, we're past April. Now, of course, this is a 2 situation, not it's either this or this, so it could still release in 2022. We haven't heard any information about it since last year. Oh yeah, we haven't seen anything from this game since last E3. Huh. Okay. The game already looked quite finished at that point, so we're bound to be getting it this year, right? It's not being delayed and not announced or, redone or anything, right? Right? Jokes and worriedness aside, I could definitely see this being talked about. As I said, it has been a year since we've heard anything about this game. So, yeah, maybe it's time to update us. Maybe. Portal Companion Collection. That's right, we don't just talk about Nintendo. Well, earlier we talked about Sega and the people who made Hollow Knight, so that statement is already well known. Anyway, Portal Companion Collection was announced for this year. No specific dates, no, winter, August, summer, whatever have you. August falls into summer, it's autumn I'm thinking of. Oopsies. I've only played Portal Stay Alive, so I might actually pick this collection up so I can finally get around to playing 2. Or I could buy it on my PC. But at the same time, that means using this thing, and I don't want to do that. Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp. Advance Wars was a series that started on Game Boy Advance, like Mario and Luigi. There you go. There's your reference. Don't worry, there's going to be more of them. And from what I've heard, is quite good. Now, a remake of the first and second game was announced, hence Advance Wars 1+2 being the title. However, it has gotten delayed 3 times at this point. We're on the 3rd one currently. I could definitely see them talking about this game at E3, maybe giving a concrete release date that they definitely won't delay anymore. No, they wouldn't. They very much will. Speaking of delays, Bayonetta 3, was that ever technically delayed? It got announced back in 2017, proper early on, with literally nothing but the logo, which the team now realizes might have been a bad idea. Announcing a game that early made it so the game was just infamous for being the game that sits there for years. Now, I forget what Direct was the one that showed us proper gameplay for it, but I remember it was one of the more recent ones, so I could definitely see them covering this game at E3. I couldn't care less about the franchise, to be completely honest with you, so there you go. Speaking of franchises I don't care about, Metroid Prime. I'm just kidding, kind of. I have now played through all of the mainline Metroids, not the originals and remakes. I have chosen the remakes for some of them, such as I prefer Zero Mission over the original, and the 3DS remake of the second game over the one in Game Boy Advance, because, I mean, just look at it. Do kind of want to try AM2R, though. Anyway, so I have now grown proper accustomed to the 2D Metroid formula, so it might be fun to try and branch out to the whole Metroid Prime scene. Metroid Prime 4 was another game that got announced far too early than it should have. Sure, it made headlines, it got fans excited and screaming and all of that, but in the long run it's kind of a bad idea, because then they ended up shifting development entirely. They were not happy with the way that this game was, so of course, bye-bye what we've worked on, oosh-badoosh, it's all changed. Now, that shift was done a good while ago now, so at this point, unless they've decided to do another major shift, which, I mean, hey, people waited 16 years for Dread, so that's not entirely out of the question, then we could very well see it. It's a good game for E3, which that's another thing you really need to take into account here. E3 is a time for big stuff, for the big boy stuff. It's where all the big boy companies, come up, pull up the trousers and go, hey, I'm the cool one, and try to win. So they're going to want something to wow people. And I get this portion of the video is only being on stuff they already know about, but I could still definitely see a proper Metroid Prime 4 gameplay reveal wowing people. Mario Kart DLC. Okay, so, it has been a good while since Wave 1 released. Wave 1 released during March. Now, we know that there are going to be 8 cups in total, okay? Released in waves of 2, maybe. If they're sticking to the system of 2 cups each time, then we're very likely going to see the Wave 3 and 4 next year, and Wave 2 this year. Most likely it won't be released in June, E3 time itself, or July, or probably August, but I could definitely see a September release, or maybe even, at a push, October release, fitting this. Now, if we were to get a Direct during September, then I think they'd want to show it off there, but if we aren't going to get one then, if we aren't going to get one before the release of Wave 2, then I feel like E3 would be the time where they show it off. And let's just hope that this one actually includes Waluigi Pinball for once, okay? I know if you've watched a couple of my videos at this point, you're probably sick of the DS gameplay of Waluigi Pinball in the background, where I used my keyboard, where the W key was the drift one, and A, S, and D were left, back, and right. Yeah, it sounds really weird, but honestly it worked better than it should have. Anyway, I bet you're sick of that too, and I would vastly prefer to play Waluigi Pinball, but look at it, it's Mario Kart 8, yeah! For the first time, the two are reunited. Waluigi and Waluigi Pinball Tour still doesn't count. It never will count. If you think it counts, I don't like you. Speaking of things I don't like, Breath of the Wild 2. Haven't even played the game yet, but it's a 0. I didn't like Breath of the Wild on my first playthrough. Played it recently enough though. I say recently enough, it was like a year ago. And I did proper enjoy it. So now I'm excited for Breath of the Wild 2. Yippee. This game has been delayed to spring of next year. So, we might see it at E3. Once again, E3 is a time for big boys, show off the big games, and Breath of the Wild 2 is probably one of the most anticipated games of all time, now that Elden Ring is out of the way. Well, excluding a Mario & Luigi game, of course, that is truly the most wanted game ever. But yeah, what would they actually show off here? I don't know, man. Like, we've already seen a couple bits of gameplay here and there. All that's really left would be a story reveal. However, I don't really want that. Me and many others are already wanting to buy the game, so, yeah. In all honesty, they might just hold off on any information about that game, maybe a reference here and there, until February of next year, because they might hold another director and then go, hey, look, here's the title reveal for Breath of the Wild 2. But it's gonna be like an Untitled Goose Game situation where people have been calling it Breath of the Wild 2 for so long, that's just what people are gonna stick with, even if Nintendo gives it a proper name, such as Ganondorf's gotten real stinky, or something like that. So yeah, there we go. Almost 16 minutes, and that's just the first half of this video. You know, I bet you're loving the system of splitting the video up into different bits, okay? I bet you just crave it. You know, you click onto one of my videos and go, oh yes, I am so excited to see the video split into different sections. Truly the best part. I don't need to be saying any of this. This is just waffling on. Okay, let's just move on to the next part. Yeah. Oh boy, now it's the part of the video where everything not happening at all. Or maybe it is. That's right, it's the part of the one where it's based off of speculation, and hopes, and leaks. God love them leaks. Why has my channel become a leak channel as of late? You know, like, it just keeps on happening at this point. First was the Mario Movie Leaks 1, then the Mario Movie Leaks 2, then some other ones, like the Game Boy Advance leak, and all that, but yeah. Even more ones here, kind of. So, first of all, let's get this one out of the way. New Mario & Luigi game. Oh my, why isn't there a new one yet? The last entirely new Mario & Luigi game was Paper Jam, which was 7 years ago. And if you've played Paper Jam, then you know that that game didn't introduce anything new. That game was sadly not what people wanted, of a combination of Mario & Luigi elements with Paper Mario elements and characters smushed together into one horrifying thing in 3DS. Instead, it was New Super Mario Bros. Combined with Paper Mario Sticker Star with the classic Mario & Luigi battle formula in it. And a really refined one at that. That game was painfully generic. Calling it the last unique Mario & Luigi game is definitely a sad thing, or the last one with new stuff in it. Excluding that one would be Dream Team back in 2013, which was 9 years ago at this point. I don't know why I feel old saying that, but I do. And even then, that one doesn't have its anti-fans and its fans. I'm one of the anti-fans. Not a big fan of that game, but I also kind of am. I don't know, that game just has a good couple issues that a remake could very easily remove, such as, I don't know, skipping the cutscenes or at least fast-forwarding them, skipping tutorials, but this isn't a Mario & Luigi rant. Unless you want it to be. 7 years since the last new title, 5 years since the last good title, and now 3 years since the last title at all. Back in 2020, Nintendo renewed their copyright of the series of being able to make cartridges and games and merchandise, whatever else when it comes to the series, so they definitely still have an interest in it, of some kind. Hopefully they have passed it on to one of their many studios and they are currently working on a new title. Maybe they've given it to the Paper Mario guys, or gonna completely bungle it up, who knows. I just hope that they are doing something with it. I don't want the Mario & Luigi franchise to become like Chibi Robo or F-Zero, okay? I don't want it to be, like, just left, getting the occasional release on Virtual Console here, or maybe a collection if we're lucky there, okay? I want this franchise to actually continue. So, hopefully we'll get that in this Nintendo Direct. Or we won't. They might not even get a Direct at all. Oh god, I've depressed myself. New Donkey Kong. This one has been rumored for actual ages now. It is painful just how long this has been talked about. Just show it off, please. I'm not even a big fan of Donkey... Okay, well, I like the ape himself, but I'm not a big fan of the games because I haven't really played any. I'll get around to it eventually. So... while I don't want this, I know a lot of people very much do. Last new Donkey Kong title, I believe, was Tropical Freeze on the Wii U, which, while it did receive a remake, and Donkey Kong has been heavily featured in a lot of stuff since, still not having a new game since 2015 sucks. I wouldn't know the feeling. No, not at all. Neither would Donkey Kong fans, since that game came out in 2014. Anyway, Metroid Prime Remake is another thing we've heard a lot of rumors about, and it would make sense. With the release of Metroid Prime 4 coming up soon, or never, who knows, it might be a wise decision to get people to play Metroid Prime, and without Virtual Console for bloody GameCube, that might be slightly difficult. So releasing a remake for the game would seem quite advantageous. Or porting the Metroid Prime collection. I could see that going well. 3 games have already been remade, just spruce it up, give it the good old Skyward Sword HD treatment where you change practically nothing, other than make it compatible with Switch, and presto, easy $60, £50, whatever currency you use. Now, these rumors have been pretty divided on if it's just the first game getting a remake, or all 3 of them. It would make a lot more sense for it to be all 3 of them, because, you know, this is the 4th game in the franchise, which follows along the story of the previous 3 games. And I think the first Metroid as well. It's weird with this slotted in. Anyway, people aren't really going to want to skip straight ahead to the 4th one. It's kind of the same issue with the Pikmin 3 port, is that people can't play Pikmin 1 and 2, which is very irritating by the by. So, a lot of people were too afraid to pick up Pikmin 3. Yes, afraid. You know, they're cowering underneath their bedsheet from it, because they can't play the first and second games. So like, hey, this one has deep story that links with those games. Can't be playing it. And the same might go for the 4th, Metroid Prime, to an even more extent. Pikmin 3, spoilers, doesn't really have anything that links to the first 2 games. Like, other than the occasional reference here and there, Olimar and Louie making a return, and I don't know, the big goo monster at the end possibly being something from Pikmin 1 and 2, but that's more a fan theory than anything else. There isn't really anything you need to know before going into that game. But Metroid Prime 4, I don't know, man. That sounds like you need to know some stuff. Could be wrong, but I think I'm right here. Oh my god, 2017, Mario Odyssey, very excited, still love that game. Where is the sequel? Where's the DLC? Where's the anything? Okay, like, once again, 2017, good old October, great time. I was gonna make Mario Month in October, cause I'm an idiot. Like, yeah, sure, of course, during Halloween, that won't be conflicting at all. Yeah, great job past me, you smell face. Sick burn, I know. Anyway, that just goes to show how excited I was for this game, and it was deserved. It is great. Once again, where's the sequel? Now, we did get more costumes as time went on after the game's release, and some of these felt like they would fit into specific themed kingdoms. A Santa outfit for a Christmas-themed world, and Funny Zombie for a zombie-themed world, or maybe they never had plans to make more stuff for this game. Who knows? But my current theory is that they were working for DLC for this game, however they felt like, hey, we've got so many ideas, let's just make a sequel. And then they went on to do that. And it's been 5 years. With Breath of the Wild getting a sequel, Mario Kart 8 getting a bunch of new tracks that are but the same amount as the game itself, so you can kind of see that as a sequel. Mario & Rabbids getting a sequel. A lot of things are, and Splatoon 2 getting a sequel. A lot of things from the early Switch era of 2017 are getting sequels. Heck, you could even argue Nintendo Switch Sports is a sequel to 1-2 Switch, because that's like their big casual game of the year. So with everything else seemingly getting sequels and whatever have you, where's Mario Odysseys? Like, unless you want to count Bowser's Fury, which was incredibly fun and amazing, but still a small side mode of a Wii U port, we haven't gotten any new 3D Marios. So where in God's name are they, man? Now, not too long ago, I talked about the Game Boy and Game Boy Advance leaks, okay? They're like, hey, we found this code. And they've been done for a while if you watch that video, which you definitely should if you haven't. So with them sitting on it for so long, maybe we're going to be on the cusp of actually getting these things. E3 does seem like a good time to announce it. I mean, they've announced new systems coming to it before via Nintendo Direct, so, you know, maybe they're going to do it here with Game Boy and Game Boy Advance. I just hope that they don't make a third tier of their Nintendo Switch Online. People already think the second tier isn't justified, so I feel if they release these two things for that second tier, or maybe Game Boy in the first tier, Game Boy Advance second tier, I feel that would justify it a fair bit more in people's eyes. Still maybe not enough, but a fair bit more. This next one is a bit of a reach, okay? 2020, July, we got Paper Mario, the Origami King. I don't like it. However, that doesn't stop the fact that by the time we reach E3, it will have almost been a year and a half since that game released. Now, I don't work in the games industry, unless you want to include this channel that's working in it, which I don't, and you shouldn't. If you do, seek help. I have no clue what the teams are doing behind the scenes, but I have a feeling that they haven't just been sitting about scratching at their buttholes for the past year and a half. They're bound to be working on something. Maybe not a new Paper Mario game, but I still feel like the team are going to be working on something. But maybe it is Paper Mario. Maybe it's a remake of some sort. There was rumors floating about it by the Paper Mario 64 remake, which is kind of redundant now we have it on the system, but still be cool nonetheless. As I said, this one is definitely a far reach. With how long the gaps between Paper Mario installments are, we probably won't be hearing anything about a new one for a good while. But eventually when we do, I'll tell you this for free, and this for certain, it's gonna be disappointing. Speaking of disappointment, new systems. Nintendo hasn't actually announced any new systems or system upgrades since, 2011 with the Wii U, and that was before they switched over to the digital format of Nintendo Directs. So once again, this one's a bit of a reach. People have been begging and clamoring for a Nintendo Switch Pro for a good 1 or 2 years now, and that's fair. The Switch is quite an underpowered system, all things considered. Like, sure, it's in between the PlayStation 3 and Xbox One, but we're now beyond the Xbox One, okay? We're in the Xbox Series X plus funky mode. I don't know what it's called. Does anyone? Anyway, the Switch is now 1.5 generations behind, okay? That ain't good. So of course people are going to want an upgrade. To bump that up to 1 generation behind, still would be a big leap forward. Leakers have been saying for a very long time as well that Nintendo are working on it, with one even saying, oh, don't worry, it's definitely coming out in March of next year, which would line up with Breath of the Wild 2, so I could see that happening, but still. With it being more than 10 years since the last time Nintendo actually showed off a new system at E3, I don't think it's happening. So why did I bring it up in this video, may I ask? I don't know, and also because it's something some people would say would happen, so Might as well debunk those stupid idiots now. If you're a member of this channel, you've undoubtedly watched my Mario movie trailer video. Okay, those two videos are sitting at ridiculously high view amounts that I'm not going to be reaching for a long time after that. The question of if you've seen it yet is quite a redundant one. However, if you haven't seen that one yet, I talk about the Mario movie. We haven't received a trailer for it yet. E3 seems like a perfect time. With the movie being delayed, which is another thing I talked about in a previous video, which you should go watch. Anyway, I've said anyway a lot in this video. Make it my catchphrase, baby. With it now being delayed to a good while in the future, we might have to wait for the trailer, but at the same time, I don't know, E3 is going to be less than a year before we get it. As I said in the previous segment of this video, E3's time to be big, show off, blah 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 blah, that whole statement again. So, a trailer for your new movie, first forte into movies, since the last time where you did a really poor job, unless you want to include that funny Pikachu film. That one does fall under Nintendo, but also Game Freak at the same time, and it's confusing, but if you don't want to count that, then this is their first time going back into film since the god-awful Super Mario Bros. Movie. The trailer for that would be a big thing, and a big thing a lot of people would talk about, so it would definitely be something great to slide right into the middle or the end of a presentation. Or at some other point, I don't know, man. Mario Kart DLC. Hey wait, you may be asking. Didn't we already talk about this? Yes, but I'm talking about other Mario Kart DLC. This DLC pack only contains tracks, and not new ones at that, it's just tour ones ported over with some fancy new graphics and mechanics. So, maybe we'll get even more DLC for other things. Maybe new tracks, which they aren't going to do. They're going to put their focus into working on tracks for tour to then be ported to 8, since that's the system they're currently doing. Or maybe it'll be characters, where they just take the tour models, spruce them up a little, and slap them on. Car parts, which they'll take from tour. Yeah, I'm bringing up tour a lot, even though I said it doesn't count, because Nintendo definitely thinks it does. But I wouldn't exactly be opposed to some of the content from that game being slapped in here. See, the great thing about gacha games, that's a sentence I bet you never thought you'd hear, is that they do put a lot of effort into the costumes and collectibles you can, well, collect. They want you to want to get these, okay? They want you to crave these skins and these parts and whatever else to the point where you will pay money into the game instead of just waiting and winning 50 schmillion races to get Luigi for the 5th time. So it definitely would be cool to see all the stuff that they've worked hard on put into a game that doesn't suck. I mean, like, they put King Bob-omb into a little cart. He's a little drivey man. That's funny. Luigi with a sausage. That's funny. Waluigi as a bus driver. I'd say that's funny to me. They also gave Kamek the ability to actually drive. Something that, it was in the N64 one they wanted to do, and then they cancelled, and then they were considering them for 8 or 8 Deluxe, and then cancelled again, so it's great to see them finally get the chance. Sucks it's in tour. Put them in 8 Deluxe. Would be cool. Other DLCs. You know, just because Mario Kart is getting DLC doesn't mean we couldn't be in for more. Pokemon Legends Arceus has done really well. I wouldn't be surprised if that game got DLC. The remakes of Platinum and Pearl, not Platinum and Pearl, Diamond and Pearl, could get a DLC for all the stuff included in Platinum. I know, I don't want to touch those games at all, okay? I think Pokemon games are garbage enough, but when you get a company that, like, just look at those games. Just look what the company that made it was known for beforehand. Okay, it wasn't even the main Game Freak company that made the game, by the by. It was some random other one, not known for anything whatsoever. Of course the game's going to turn out garbage. But I can still see DLC for that coming out, though it might not be announced in a Direct. I don't know, there usually isn't any Pokemon stuff in a Direct, I've now realized. They'll save it for Pokemon Presents a little bit afterwards. More Animal Crossing DLC is now the question. It was said in the last Animal Crossing Direct that this is the last major free content update, which means we could very much be in for other content updates down the road. What'll be in them, I have no clue. Maybe, I don't know, allow people to upgrade the bloody shops past 1 level, or more shops, or adding all the video game content that you've still missed out on. Like the funny Pikmin hat that makes the Pikmin noise, it's a great hat. And now, to end off this part of the video, Tomodachi Life 2. I do quite enjoy the first game. It is a fun little time. It's fun seeing what they get up to and what wacky events happens. I've been replaying through the game on my 2DS, And like, it's just funny what events can occur. Brody Fox is engaged to Daisy, for Christ's sake. Demoman and Samus got married. Like, it's stuff like that why I love it. Also, Alex Yick is there. Great. Funnily enough, he is rated the most hottest person on the island as well. I don't understand it, but I do respect it. The big issue with that game, however, is that you'll likely get bored after a week or two. You know, you'll eventually, well, if you make a bunch of islanders and do a bunch of stuff at once, you're eventually going to see stuff being repeated, such as minigames, or dialogue, dreams, requests, whatever else. So, I think a sequel where they introduce a lot more mechanics, so that people will be playing the game for a month before getting bored for like 8 years, would be pretty good. I do want to make a video on ideas I have for a sequel of that game. Only issue is, I have no clue how to record footage for it. I have a capture card, but I don't want to unplug it from everything I already have it set up to plug it into my 3DS. I'm gonna have to eventually, but still I'd prefer if I didn't have to. Oh well. Speaking of videos, that's what the title card for the next bit will say, the word video.
Oh yeah!
That's it, we're here, at the end. How is this video almost half an hour long? I know, I guess that's just how excited people like me, you know, or as they say, freaks, get when it comes to E3. You know, it's an exciting time. Our imaginations run wild with the wildest and wild Breath of the Wild 2 ideas, only for them to be squashed and we get disappointed inevitably. Will anything I said in the second half of this video be actually in the Direct? Probably not. Will there even be a Direct? I don't know. I don't know anything, man. All I do know is that this video is done, and I can start editing it. Yeah! Please tell me down below what you're excited for when it comes to Nintendo during E3 season. Or if you think they actually will hold anything during then. Might not, but still, tell me what you would like to see, or things that you know for a fact will be there because your uncle's grandfather's dog's uncle's dog's grandfather's works there. Leave a like on the video if you want to return to it, so say after E3 go, hey, let's check if their predictions were correct. Click, wow, very right, or wow, very wrong. Subscribe if you've watched a couple of them at this point, because if you for some reason enjoy watching these, you are sick, and should make the funny number go higher. We're actually surprisingly close to 200. I didn't think I'd reach 200 till like next year, to be honest, but the fact it's actually somewhat possible this year is kind of insane. We're only halfway through the year, and yet I'm only 27 away from getting to 200, so, as I said, definitely possible. So please do consider subscribing. Or don't. You'll make me very sad. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye 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 bye. Bye bye. Okay, one more for good measure. Bye.